Hello, Internet, and welcome to our second weekly in the third month of our Journey of Wrestling League. The Rough Drafts Competes, I guess, series is what we're going to call it here. There isn't anything else in the series yet. I just like the idea of having a series title. I am your host today and current leader in the standings, and I am joined as always by my good friend and strong competitor Xander Raff. How you doing?
I am good. It is another day for Journey of Wrestling, and so I am always excited. Always a good time when you get to throw down here.
Yes, the gauntlet has indeed been thrown, and there was a cliffhanger a little bit last time about whether or not the viewer count from the
hmm
last weekly would be registered. It did not show up visibly on the stream, but as you can see, if the screen agrees to load for me, it did indeed track. So we did
Okay,
end up. Now, it did not go back and fix the one from a while back. That one's
gotcha.
gone.
Yeah,
But
that one's
this
gone.
one, they did manage to fix. So Eduardo did get his benefit for the win. I got a little bit of a benefit. And then you and Walter took losses. But you and Walter were tied. And because you took the biggest losses, Xander and fans,
Mhm.
first time ever, I believe, that you have finished
Yes, that's
fourth
the first time ever
in a
I
week.
finishing fourth.
That does mean, by the rules that we've established, that you get to go first today. So,
Oh, sick.
what
Yes.
can
Yeah,
people expect from your
this
card?
has never happened. What can people expect from my card? Well, they can expect big things. I mean, no, this is
I would hope so. Yeah.
this is well, the last card was really there to push the production. We're still pushing production a little bit here, but we're also pushing some narrative, pushing some feuds. We're trying to get stuff ready for this pay-per-view that's coming up.
Mhm.
We got some faction stuff going on. Honestly, there's a lot of good stuff here that we didn't have last week. Last week was just a little bit of stuff moving it around. Even taking fourth, I'm not disappointed at all with where things ended up. Just because, again, we were pushing. We had four segments. This week, obviously, got a lot more matches. Got the men's heavyweight title up again.
Yes.
Got some big matches here for our ambulance match, street fight match. We got a lot of good stuff coming tonight.
Absolutely. Well, let's get started then. Um, as we kick off, there we go. You're starting with the package. Leah Jacobs, she's got a new gimmick. You want to tell us
Yes.
about this new badass biker of yours?
Yeah, so Leah Jacobs, she is one of our jobbers that's been kind of working at the bottom of the card, bottom of the promotion, and we're trying to work her up a little bit. She's been having some good matches. She's been doing stuff. Obviously, the 2.25 star, not what you want to see from the gimmick package, but we wanted to get the new gimmick on her. Wanted to give the production a work here, and. Don't mind if that one's removed from the card.
Well, and let's be real, right? You did get a 100% mark out. She nailed the gimmick. People have bought
Yes.
in. They're in on it. They're ready. And so that's certainly something to be excited about, even if you did not get maybe as much popularity boost as maybe you'd like. But that does lead us to a three-way submission match. So Leah is here, but we've got a couple competitors as well that people should be watching out for, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So Emma Fry, who a lot of folks know because her and Leah have been feuding, Emma Fry had the gimmick change as well. These women on the lower end of our card, I don't want to say extremely talented, but they're moderately talented. Leah Jacobs, especially, is a 3-4 already.
Mhm.
Um, Super over, super happy, and is able to do a lot of work. So we are trying to, very bluntly, to move her up. But also Emma Fry's been doing some good stuff. Taking a lot of losses, but despite the overness being so low, has actually been in a lot of high quality matches.
Mhm.
And so we're trying to, sort of elevate both of them because we've got, a kind of a lack of women between, like the 700 popularity and these folks. So we want to move them up. Kyra, is someone who has kind of been pushed down the card a bit. Being a 2-2, 42 over, she was in some big matches, didn't get that much out of any of them, despite two of them going really well, actually, the matches themselves. But
Mhm.
yeah, so, we're in this situation now where we've got kind of three women vying for their position to move up the card. Kyra trying to get back up there, but Leah Jacobs obviously making a strong push. Emma Fry also making a decent push. So yeah, I'll be honest. You can kind of see this is going anyway. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it though.
Yeah, well, I know where I would go, and I know where I think you went. I personally would go for Kyra in this spot, and I wouldn't feel great about it, but she could become an upper mid-carder just by hitting 600 popularity, and she hasn't gotten a win yet. And at that 42% over, she's certainly closer to it than Emma Fry. And I look at a project, you look at the jabronis, right? And just getting them to a lower mid card and then having them climb all 200 points. It's a lot of work. And anyone that you could have them beat that would help supercharge that is going to hate you for doing it. So I stayed away from the jabronis for that reason. You have never been intimidated by this. And given that Leah Jacobs just got the new gimmick, and she certainly has the highest upside of the performers here, unless you think that you're going to be able to get Emma Fry 43 overness somehow. I imagine you went with Leah.
I did go with Leah here. Emma Fry is a project for us, but again, like Leah's just been putting in work and we want to reward it. Abstract of the hit the card's going to take a little bit, but
man. Yeah. Kyra's mad. Kyra does not like losing to a jobber. That is a -10 morale change from her. Leah's having a great time. Leah couldn't be happier. Yeah. It's just over a 3-star match, which, given that, Kyra's not a great worker and these are less popular people, that was always a risk. But you did get a holy shit moment. Leah and Emma battling in a battle of the forearms. Got a nice 30 points there. So good for Leah.
Match did what it needed to do, and that's fine. The rest of this is going to be a little bit more hype, a lot more faction stuff, a lot of bigger matches going on here.
Yes, and that includes this tag elimination match between Vinland Saga and Jolly Roger. Vinland Saga being one that I think the fans have been clamoring for a while now, right?
Yep, they have. Yeah, these two have been going at it. Vinland Saga has a feud with pretty much every single tag team. They are phenomenal workers. Every single match they have been in has been phenomenal. I don't think they've taken a single penalty in 5 losses because every tag match that they are a part of, whether they're the upper end of the popularity or the lower end, it hasn't mattered. They have put on a show. And tonight they're up against Jolly Roger. Skull Shot and Bone Soldier, who together have kind of had middling results, more so just kind of filling in for the card wrestling. Obviously, they're 0-3, but, they were arguably the number 2 team in a lot of 4- and 5-way tag team matches. This is another one that it's sort of folks vying for that, title shot, trying to get themselves to be the number 1 contender, which you're going to see a lot of. Now that the castles have taken over, there's a lot more folks that see the hang time, heresy going down, and they're really motivated.
Yeah, certainly I think this is you sense the blood in the water finally, right? And
yep.
I think that gives you some opportunities here. I will say, I'm hoping that you gave Vinland Saga a win because they're 0-5 despite all the hard work they've put in for this company. And I want to see them become main eventers because I think having them at that next tier of popularity would go a long way towards even further enhancing some of what your division's got. Though I understand Jolly Roger, Skullshot, and Bone Soldier, both incredible workers as well. Who did you give the nod to?
It is going to Vinland Saga tonight. They are getting their first win. We love to see it. Jolly Roger taking a little bit of a penalty, which was to be expected. They are a bit higher in popularity, but nothing that, ruins anything. And, the storyline, it progresses. We're happy to see it. We love these tag teams. You're going to see a lot more of these two, especially. Vinland Saga and Jolly Roger have a lot more to show.
Yeah, I get the sense with Jolly Roger, it's more that they are 0-4 now rather than this specific loss, because this got an interesting story bonus. We got the 4.5 star here. We got our second holy shit moment in 2 matches for you. Bear Winter getting the hard headbutt that almost knocked them both out. You also leveled up your elimination match, so it's going to be...
Which was a goal set out tonight. We're happy we got it done.
Absolutely. A cost decrease on elimination. I personally, huge elimination match guy. I think it adds hype to basically every tag match that's ever existed. So Congrats on getting that discounted, and we'll see where you keep going with it. But we do have a 3-way street fight match here between Sho Fujino, Carson Gold, and Kaiman Nomura. Two incredible workers and one who's very much on their way. What should fans be looking for tonight? What's this match got?
Yeah, I mean, Carson Gold's been moving his way up. I do believe he took a loss last week, in the last match he had, but he won the big. He won a solo match, and then he won, a big battle royale, pushed him up. You've got Sho, who's a key member of Burn It All Down with Krieger, here, sponsoring him. Hasn't gotten a win yet, but that's only because he's been in so many high-profile matches. A lot of matches in there with the hang times, with very members that are, really in that 1,000, face of the company margin. And then you've got Kaiman, who's a guy who's been bouncing up and down in the 900 region. 4-4, extremely talented wrestler.
Yeah.
And again, this is a big match here between, some factions that are going on. And a lot of, you can see they're all super talented wrestlers.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the upside on this match is clear. I like what Kaiman's been doing recently. Obviously you got to take the win-losses with a bit of salt because you love your multi-man matches. And in a multi-man match, there are more losses to go around than wins. And that's just kind of been the nature of some of these cards, right? But Kaiman got his first win recently. I think building on that would make sense. I also really would like giving it to Sho Fujino here just because he's got that 64 overness. I feel like, his gimmick is actually in a good spot. The fans like the gimmick, so a new gimmick might not be the answer. But, some sort of like video package thing, you could turn him into a 4-4 main eventer, I think, if you wanted to make that push. So it really, to me, depends on whether you're going for, Kaiman or Sho Fujino. Carson's going to be fine either way. Which direction did you end up going in?
Yeah, so it's actually going to Sho tonight.
Oh, you were changing your mind from earlier.
Yes, I did change my mind. I like what I'm looking at here. It's going to Sho.
Okay, great. This is why I'm glad you're here and I can ask these things because we definitely
again
in our notes.
just for clarity, I was gonna notify you of some of this, but ceiling. Hey, and it works out even better. Look at that. Crowd is interested. Blood. You got headhunting going on here. There's a lot of good stuff.
That's a huge, 5+ star. You definitely needed that tonight with the way that those first couple segments went. Everyone with the overness and popularity boost is huge. Sho Fujino is now, I think, 1 point away from being in the that 70 range. The hot match certainly helps each of them. No holy shit moment here, but this is one of those everyone benefits. Everyone gets the morale boost. Everyone really capturing the crowd here. And what a nice turnaround for this night and how that's going.
Let's see how this main event package did.
I thought this was after a match that we have planned. Okay, interesting.
Oh, it was, but it's okay. It worked out.
Okay, that's fine.
I think it's the best package that Theo Walters has ever done in his entire career. So you know what? Not going to complain in the slightest.
That's very fair. Yeah, and they did get the correct main event. I was worried for a second there that it hadn't.
No, it got the correct main event. I do
good.
agree, though. I think it was slightly out of order, but that's okay.
Here's the thing. You increased the effectiveness of your main event package moving forward.
Let's go! Theo Walters doing his job. Theo Walters, you're going to get a bonus for the first time in the history of this promotion.
Yeah, congratulations. You're not going to hang out by the dumpster tonight.
Yep.
Tonight you get a motel room.
We'll let you eat at the big kids table instead of with the dogs.
Well done, Theo. We got a 4-way ambulance match here. Few different feuds all coming together here. You got Black Bull, Blue Arrow, Yuji Onishi, and Elliot Hangtime. Where do you even start with a card like this?
Yeah, so you've got two essentially lieutenants of their respective. Three are arguably lieutenants of their respective factions here. With Black Bull, Elliot Hangtime, and Blue Arrow. And Yuji Onishi, who's another extremely talented wrestler, 8'11", has been in a ton of high profile matches. You see he's a 4-4. Black Bull, who's been having kind of an insane run lately, was 0-4, is now 2-0, in his most recent matches, because he has kind of pushed himself up as sort of a kind of successor or potential successor to Executioner Goro in Burn It All Down. You've got Elliot Hangtime, who, is in some interfeud stuff, but is still a leader within his faction. Hasn't gotten as much solo time as his three other brothers,
Yes.
But is here ready to show up and put some work in. And then again, you've got Blue Arrow, who is recently in the new faction, and Yuji Onishi on top of that, and those two factions are feuding. So, there's a ton of heavy stuff going on here.
It looks like a hell of a match, man. It's one of those, I go back and forth. Blue Arrow, you can make a lot of the same arguments we just made for Sho Fujino.
Yeah.
But I think in this case, you just took the tag title off of Elliot Hangtime. I feel like a win here gives him that boost and reminds everyone that he is very much a force to be reckoned with. Is that indeed the way you went?
That is indeed the way I'm going tonight. Elliot Hangtime does take the dub home. It is not the same Hangtime supremacy we've seen, but it is a Hangtime show up to be sure.
Yeah, and full of action. That bonus was definitely needed to get that 5-star match going. It's a nice little boost for Elliot. A nice start to a couple feuds, including the Burn It All Down and Conquest or Death. That is a feud that you're going to want to pay attention to. We have seen already, especially with my last pay-per-view. For those who missed the stream, go check it out. It's on the same channel that these ones are. We posted the full VOD. If you watch that, you know how much faction feuds can bump up the hype for an event. And that's something I can see you're already setting the groundwork for, and we'll see how that pays off. But you've got one more, the Men's Heavyweight Championship, featuring Krieger as a special referee. You've loved those special ref matches.
Yeah, the special ref matches, I mean, they've been putting in some work. I will say that just, if the Joe devs are ever listening, I would love to see some more, maybe finishes or something like that you can use with the special referee matches, something that's like a little more unique to it. But that being said, it's great for narrative building. It's great for flavor. And especially if you are on the losing end of some of these matches, you can understand the salt getting built up here. And right now, very notably, we've got a Hangtime, we've got Alex Jim, but we've got a member of Burn It All Down refereeing here. And the Hangtimes, part of Conquest or Death, and Burn It All Down currently feuding. So, there may be something going on there.
Yeah, that is interesting. I think if you're Alex, right, smart move to get someone who theoretically is a little bit more neutral, not in either faction of this match here. But with that new faction feud going, we'll see if there's interference. I think without it, I think we've established cards don't shift during weeklies unless Chase fucks up, has been the way that this has gone.
Yeah.
Which is not to say that it's impossible, but I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say that Alex is still holding this one.
Yeah, so Alex is still holding it. But, just again, for that narrative buildup, it's really the story of the enemy of my enemy is my friend, at least for now, right? Mm-hmm. And so, for the people and Burn It All Down do not get along. But if there's a Hangtime on the other end of that, they just might get along a lot better than you'd expect.
Yeah, it helps. And hey.
Oh, and special ref match leveled up.
Yep, it decreased its cost moving forward, so congratulations on that. Your ambulance is close to moving up as well. No more holy shit moments, but I have to say these two full of action bonuses I think were very important towards getting your card. Look at that, 4.5 stars.
Yep, 4.5 stars despite the Leah Jacobs match that we threw in there to push her up. So honestly, again, we're really happy with how this card turned out. We accomplished something we needed to get done for our lower end folks, because we do want to push them up and see them be more successful, see them be more involved with our lower mid carders and even our lower end of our upper mid card. And I was a little worried that would take a hit, but everything else was so hyped tonight. Yeah. The promotion just carried it. And yeah, 4.5 stars. We're happy with this. 2 holy shit moments. This wasn't a super expensive card for us. Most of what we used relatively cheap. And a lot of narratives pushed, a lot of feuds built, a lot of a lot of commotion heading into next week and then the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, you had 3 5+ star matches in one night on a weekly, which is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough for the rest of our competitors here, including myself, to mess with there. But we have someone else who's ready to try, and that would be Walter, who did edge you out last week.
He did indeed.
Last week
for the first time ever. There's a first time for everything,
Yeah, but
no.
He honestly, that was one of those. We looked at the card, and I think he would have tied me had it just been slightly different in the order.
100%.
Just got unlucky with his.
Yeah, I thought it was a great card. No, 100%. I thought it was a phenomenal card. I said as much as well.
And I'm optimistic for this one as well. We go on here to our opening match. It is Consequencia versus Angelina Cardinal. It is a straight 1v1 match between two people who have been feuding for a bit now. Or is this one just starting? I forget. He might have leveled up Greatest Wrestler. This might just be the starting point now. So, I mean, obviously, Angelina Cardinal, the queen of Lucha Americano, 19-year-old face, already a main eventer, already a 4-4. Consequencia is working on it, right? She's that 24-year-old heel.
Yeah, I mean, she's still in striking distance of these things, and being a 4-3 is no joke, so.
Yeah, I do think perhaps a gimmick change might go really well for her, right? You look at the 62 overness. I bet with a good gimmick, and you'd have to get a little lucky because her charisma is 2 stars, so there's some potential cons there. But if it works, I think you can get her into the range where she's on her way to getting over a lot more quickly than it might appear here, given that her gimmick is pretty middling, all things considered. I mean, just looking 100%. At the stats here, who do you think gets the win?
So, I mean, if I'm going off of stats alone, I would say he's probably giving it to Angelina Cardinal, just because, she's got Layla. I definitely see the argument, though, for Consequencia. Consequencia also doesn't have a win with what's about to be an extra match over Angelina. And so, I do think Walter is moving Angelina up here. I think that's the move. She's at 807, but, I think there's an argument for both wrestlers here that's valid. But I do think it goes to Angelina tonight.
It does indeed go to Angelina, and I think that was the right call. Angelina is just such a good worker. You want to get her further up the card, get her in striking distance for some, contending for one of those title shots at one point. Consequencia is going to be all right. Minor morale hit is something that she can take. And it gets the feud off on a good spot and gets the crowd started with a near 5-star match and a nice holy shit moment, despite the fact that there was no gimmick involved. I think Walter said, look, I got a couple people I wanted to sign during this waiver period. They came on board. They're ready to go right away, which is big. I think we'll see one of them later on in this card, perhaps. But yeah, a great start. Before we head into a title shot here, this is a steel cage match between Kenji Sabre and Keiichi Sakurai. Kenji, of course, 19-year-old heel. He is ambitious asking for this match against Keiichi Sakurai. He's yet to have a singles match of his own so far. And I imagine there was some trash talking backstage, some like, oh, I can, I bet that I can keep up with you in the ring. You're not so tough. But then you look at Keiichi Sakurai and he kind of is that tough. Is there any chance that Kenji pulls off an upset here?
I don't think Kenji pulls off the upset tonight. I think it stays with Keiichi.
I'm not even going to pretend. But look at that. I was a little worried about this one because I thought maybe Keiichi Sakurai wouldn't like feuding against someone in Kenji who's so much lower on the card. And he didn't love it. He took a -1 morale hit, but they both got the overness. They both had a hot match. Kenji Sabre bled here. Didn't quite get a second holy shit moment, but it did end up giving a nice 5-star segment here. I mean, this is what you're hoping for from a match like this.
Yeah. No, listen, that's great. And, even though... Let me rephrase this. This is exactly what you want to see when you've got people with that popularity disparity, right? Mm-hmm. The fact that the match still goes that well is huge. And especially even during a weekly getting a 5-star match. Obviously, spend the money for the steel cage. That's that's not nothing. But again, it's a big investment for a big reward.
Yeah, and I mean, and that steel cage level up, you can see he's working towards it. But oh wait, what's this? Kaito Sakura, the friendly commentator that we have seen, from the Indies, just got signed over to the Sanford Wrestling Alliance. He's going out. It looks like he's going to give Keiichi a congratulations. But what is this? The commentator is attacking Sakurai. It looks like he's turned heel. What are we seeing here?
Oh my gosh.
The storytelling, Xander. The long-term storytelling.
It's paying off. It's paying off big.
Look, Sakura's a 4-star charisma guy. You absolutely want to build segments around your 4-star charisma people. I think this has been underutilized because we have been focusing on the packages that give you the level up for your for your production facility to get more spots for future matches. But like, this is a 5-star segment. This is just good television. And Walter has always said, I'm not playing a game, I'm making a good wrestling show. This is how you make a good wrestling show. People are in,
Yeah.
and it's opened up an opportunity. A free feud has been made, Fighting the Darkness, which the fact that it's already over because of this hot segment, I don't think that we're going to see Sakura in the ring very often because he's a full-time manager, but I would not be surprised if Sakura starts taking on maybe some of those made in Japan clients, and really hanging out with some of the heels that have been a thorn in Sakurai's side for a while now. I think he's making his allegiance known.
Yeah, it's looking that way. Sure is.
Yes. Well, in the meantime, we have Made in Japan. In this case, Heizo Ogawa and the Empress Kabuki, two incredible performers in their own right. Heizo Ogawa recently turned heel against Keiichi Sakurai in a very similar segment to what we just saw from Kaito Sakura. Empress Kabuki, of course, just a dominant heel within the women's division. Teaming up for their first kind of tag team match since the faction formed against Craig Opley and Amanda Ace, two people from the Lads. The Lads, of course, the biggest winners from Walter's last pay-per-view, New Beginnings. We saw the Lads had a few different people that went hot, a few different people who ended up securing titles or winning big matches there. So you're talking about, two people that have been unstoppable individually versus two people from a faction that has been on the rise. I mean, where do you see this one going?
Oh man, I don't know. This could really go either way, and it's hard to tell with Walter sometimes, just because the narrative building that he's doing internally sometimes takes some swings I'm not expecting. Let's see. If I'm giving it here, it's going over to Made in Japan with Ogawa and Kabuki. That's just where I feel it should go. They're the bigger stars. It's and I think getting the heels in this specific matchup built up a little more, and then having the faces come in and knock them down at a bigger event makes the most sense to me personally.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And Walter agrees. I think Made in Japan is getting built up right now as a faction. The momentum's on their side. Sure, this match is only going to be 4 stars. It has the one feud to it that I think started pretty well between Craig and Heizo. But more importantly, this is another assertion, right, that Made in Japan is a force to be reckoned with. And if a 4-star is the thing that you're dropping from your card 4 matches in, you're feeling pretty good. You're feeling pretty good about where this card's gone. But we do have a couple more matches here, including this 3v3 match between the Scribner family and Eternum. And the Scribner family, of course, in this case, we do mean 3 different Scribners. It is Anthony, Jace, and Colton Scribner, with their manager, Livia, bringing them onto the ring. We have seen Colton do pretty well in some singles competition. Anthony and Jace, I think, a little bit more focused on their own tag team shenanigans. Meanwhile, Daniel Stevenson recently won the brass ring at the last pay-per-view, if I recall correctly. And you look at Kyle Lucha and Rick Dolan joining him in the ring. Eternum, definitely a faction that we've seen come together in some big matches in the past. Where do you think this one's going?
I want to say the Scribners take it home. I mean, I think there's been a lot of story building with the Scribners. There's a lot of stuff going on there that's really good. Eternum, I do believe, just got a big win at the end of the last, maybe it was, I don't remember if it was a weekly or the pay-per-view, but I think that this week it's going to the Scribners.
Yeah, it is indeed going to the Scribner family. A slightly under 4-star match here. Again, the
But
game.
that's also with new feuds getting built, right? So I think that
Yeah.
that's going to pay off dividends later.
Yeah, we've got a couple new feuds. It looks like Craig Opley's gimmick dropped a little bit from the last match. I did not notice that before. But yeah, I mean, this is like, look, there was no gimmick spent on this, right? I think the game doesn't see like these 3v3s and 2v2s as a gimmick the way that, like, if you were a wrestling fan in real life, I would imagine like seeing people who don't typically team up. Like, this seems like a 3v3 faction match you're not likely to see before. I agree with Walter more than I agree with the game mechanic on that. But at the same time, I think just under 4 stars is fine, given everything else we've seen. Especially when the video package for Ethan Wilde goes as well as it does. Ethan Wilde been on the rise recently, and we're seeing this video package slowly but surely getting Amelie Gonzalez closer and closer to leveling up here. And that 4-star segment means that the Scribner match is the one that's going to be dropped, which I think is great to be, because we're ending with a championship match, an unsanctioned match between Connor Creedon and Ethan Wilde. Ethan, of course, currently your men's champion, just won that at the last pay-per-view. This is his first time defending that title. Connor Creedon, however, has been just a very solid competitor, someone who has been trying to work his way up to the Christopher Devlins of the world, someone who was competition for this belt not very long ago, and is clearly trying to prove himself again here. Who do you think is going to take this one?
I think Ethan Wilde gets it. I mean, he's so close to being a face of the company status.
Yeah.
He's younger. He's got more upside. He just got the belt. I think it's Ethan Wilde.
It sure is Ethan Wilde. And it's going to be a nice near 5-star performance for Walter here.
I think this has to put Walter over me, man. I think this was a really solid card. I think we're looking at like a 4 3/4 star, maybe even. Yeah. Oh, 4.5.
Okay. 4.5. It's going to be 4.5. Once again, keeping pace with you, but that does tie what would have been the best score of last week. So you can tell, really nice spot here. I think, you look at these matches early, just consistency. I really like to see here. I like to see the 4-star video package is nice. I do think the unsanctioned, like, you get your second holy shit moment,
yeah,
which is really nice. Yeah, the elbow drop from the top rope, always great to see. And unsanctioned matches is going to add more popularity moving forward. So, obviously Connor can be a little bit bummed about losing, but he's got overness to spare. He's going to be just fine. And Ethan Wilde, especially after that video package, well on his way to being a face of the company. I'd say mission accomplished. Well done, Walter.
Yeah, well done indeed.
Yes, well, we go next to me, because I was behind Eduardo on last week. Just a bit behind at a 4.25 card, so I can keep pace with our competitors so far tonight with a 4.25, but of course, I'm not here to keep pace. I'm here to keep the points going. And I think tonight's card is going to be a very different one than I typically do. I think there have been some criticisms online on the Circled Square forums that Magically Enhanced Wrestling doesn't do enough with our tag division, doesn't do enough to hype up some of those feuds compared to our singles competitors. And so that's a notion I'm going to try to dismiss with tonight's card, which is mostly tags and tag performers.
Yeah, no, I definitely. And, obviously you want to push those tags up. You're getting criticized on Reddit. We all know how I feel about Reddit, but you still gotta listen to the will of the most vocal people online, even if they're wrong.
Look, they're bad at identifying solutions, but they do recognize when it's like, I don't think that these tags have gotten nearly enough matches against each other. Like, look at Hiley and Cross and No Bullshit, right? Most of their matches have been in free-for-all, everyone's trying to fight for the men's tag title. And yes,
Yeah.
of course you want to fight for the defenders of the realm. That's a great title and a great honor, but it's important that they get to prove themselves as individuals too, and that they work their way up to being that challenger rather than just throwing bodies into the ring all of the time. And Hiley and Cross would love to prove that right now. Ezekiel Cross and Garudo already a 4-4, beloved by the fans, someone who has been slowly but surely climbing his way into the main event position. Ezekiel Cross, someone who is up and coming, who needs a little bit of a boost to get to that main eventer status and get to that overness status, but certainly on his way. And meanwhile, you look at No Bullshit, Vance Porter and Hideo Dotto. These are 2 4-4s already. Two very strong heels. Not a lot of singles performances for them because they prefer to be this tag force. They know how to work well off of each other, and they've created some very nice moments in each of their matches so far. Who do you think I gave the win to here?
Ooh, this is tough. I think it goes to Hillian Cross. They don't have a win yet. It's a good way to build them up and keep this kind of like these two teams relatively close in skill. I see the argument for No Bullshit, but they're doing really well already. Like they're pretty over. They're pretty happy. I see greater upside to giving it to Hillian Cross here.
Yeah, the Hylian Cross.
Hillian Cross, sorry.
Because
Yes.
Garudo, it's a Hyrule reference.
Yeah.
I'm very
Yes.
smart.
Got
and
it.
cool,
Got it.
and definitely not lame. Anyway, they got the win here. I believe this was a faction blow-off, a feud blow-off, I should say. And it ultimately just came down to I felt like Hylian Cross could benefit from the overness boost a little bit more. I am glad to see that the overness hit didn't hurt Vance or Hideo too much. I think one of them was in a little bit of a danger zone individually, so I'm glad that didn't end up hurting.
But you got a 5-star match, and you got the level up on Better Villain, which is and I mean 5.5-star blow off. So
yeah,
bring that back in a year or 2 or 10, however long we end up doing this, and it'll be hype.
Absolutely, and I think freeing them up, especially I think Garudo and Hideo Dotto both have expressed to me, maybe I'd like to do more than just tag matches as well. So this kind of frees them up to pursue wherever the world takes them. But yeah, I mean, look, I'll take a 5.5-star feud blow off. That's what you want to see. Now, this is something I think everybody saw this coming. Hall of Pain has officially disbanded. River Dannenberg, if you'll remember, last week betrayed the Northern Nightmare to join the Southern Sentries and had a big kerfluffle in the middle of the arena. So this is River Dannenberg just saying, look, you guys are part of the Northern Nightmare and I am not. I have other plans. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, and it worked out for all of them. And you got Gus Sanchez got some XP, 4.25. I mean, that's honestly for that kind of package. That's great. That's a great segment.
You love seeing everyone seemingly get a popularity and overness thing. We will see what happens to each of them. I bet you may see in the near future that Asher Collins and Jackson Hall still have tag aspirations. And just because River's gone doesn't mean they don't have plans. And just because they're here talking amicably on stage right now doesn't mean that there are perhaps some sore feelings back in the locker room that will need to be explored in the ring later on.
100%. Can't wait.
But we move on now to Unlimited versus Savage Vengeance. Savage Vengeance, of course, Jan Sanake and Riko Inoki, two of the best tag performers in all of wrestling as far as I'm concerned. Both very young performers, both tag team specialists who have had some incredible matches. You can look at that. They average 98.5% overness.
Yeah.
They average 96 morale, which is absurd given that they are only 1-4 as a faction. But they're both incredible performers as both single and as a dynamic duo. But they're going up against Unlimited, who are on a little bit of an upswing with winning their last feud at the last pay-per-view. You've got Bryson Pierce and Evan Zane. Bryson, I believe, already over with the crowd. Evan Zane trying to get there. These are two gifted acrobat tag team specialists. who have done really well in big moments like this. But this is Savage Vengeance trying to bring Unlimited to the ground. This is a submission match, which means that the high-flying acrobatics alone cannot get you there. Who do you think's taking this one?
I think Unlimited maybe have a bit of a higher upside, but I would personally want to give it to Savage Vengeance here. I do see the popularity. There's some good things you can do by giving it to Unlimited, but I'm hoping you give it to Savage Vengeance and the match goes well and everybody ends up happy because of it.
Well, I share the second sentiment, but I am going with Unlimited because I see the upside a little bit more. And this is indeed, it is going to be the everyone benefits. It's only a 4-star.
You get to have your cake and eat it too.
Look at the overness for both. Look at the popularity change for both. That's how it's not a feud blow-off, excuse me, but it is Evan Zane getting over with the fans, which was the goal here. Is I wanted Evan Zane to be a 4-4 as well. Now we're looking at a situation next time. I think it's a 4-3 and a 4-4 versus 2 4-4s. The next time they get in the ring, you already are seeing the hot matches.
The Western Watch almost moving up there to Rep 5.
Yeah, they were definitely the biggest losers, I think, of the last pay-per-view in terms of which of their members kind of fell off a little bit. So getting a hot member here, I think, definitely helps as they try to push themselves back ahead. But yeah, obviously, I wish it had done a little bit better ratings-wise, but I'll take a hype match like that any day. And also, you will note, people at home, this is the first champion package we have seen because Gus Sanchez is now a level 2 producer as of last week. I have access to some packages that the rest of our players don't right now, which doesn't functionally mean a ton. We could already do video packages about people who were champions, but it adds a little bit more flavor, and more importantly, Gus should be more likely to be.
Well, my question is, does it actually help the belt or anything? Like, is there any bonus maybe to the belt? It does.
There sure is a bonus to the belt.
That's exactly what I thought. So there is some functional difference because that is notable. That's awesome, actually. That's so cool. I can't wait to unlock that. Thank you for showing that exists.
Yeah, there are a few things that I got that I'm very much looking forward to use, but Loretta certainly, she became champion at the last pay-per-view. And so, you would think, right, that this would be our main event, the Sorcerer's Supreme Championship, but we have a different belt that's gonna hopefully win the hearts and minds of fans. But
this one surely stays with Lorena.
I mean, look, there are some fans who are going to say Emu deserves a makeup call, right? She was on her way to being a face of the company. This was her belt for so long. I know we're in month 3, but, long for us.
So long, yeah.
But Lorena, I mean, yeah, I'm not even going to pretend. Like, she just got the title. She just got the package. And I have bigger plans for her. And look at that.
Match. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I should have made that the main event. Whatever. I don't care. That's 59 popularity for Lorena. She is well on her way to becoming a face of the company. The next best thing indeed. And Emu getting a popularity boost here. That warms my heart. A nice over 5-star match. Still no holy shit moments on this card.
Yep. I'm seeing that.
Point that out. Put that in my back pocket in terms of reasons to be salty. But what are you going to do? I see. So if a non-top championship is not in the main event, it hurts the prestige of the event. Of the belt.
I mean, you still ended up positive, but yes, that is good for us to note. That if you take those top belts and don't put it top, then...
Well, you switched yours at the last minute. You would have run into that.
Yeah, I would have run into that, but yes, I pulled a little, yeah.
There you go. I mean, here we go, though. It is the Defenders of the Realm Championship. It's not like I put it away for some other random thing going on. It was for a triple threat last man standing match between 3 tags that you're going to see a lot more of moving forward. Judgment Day, of course, a brand new tag. I wanted to do this as a segment, and I'm mad at the game, if I can just complain a little bit here. The game doesn't let you set up a new duo via a segment if the people participating are already in a trio, even though trios and duos do not conflict with each other. I imagine it's because of the way the segment is coded. It just looks,
Yeah.
are these people free? And because it's blocked on one, it doesn't want to accidentally give you the ability to do either, so it just blocks it off. But Bryce and River Dannenberg, the Protector and the Destroyer, have teamed up. Those that we thought they were on different sides because of their brotherly rivalry, but it turns out this was the long con all along from River Dannenberg, now revealed to have been a spy for the Southern Sentries. And they have teamed up together to extract judgment on the rest of the scene. Of course, we also have the Magic Missiles, Red Arrow making his re-debut after being injured for since the first pay-per-view, since the very first fucking match that he was in. He was injured immediately on a 0.1% chance. The Magic Missiles have been looking for a chance to get revenge on Highway Robbery and take the title back. The title they held. They won that first match fair and square, and it was only injury that took it away and gave it to Highway Robbery. But oh boy, has Highway Robbery made the most of it. They have been building that up. Rob DiBiase, I think. I always pronounce
DiBiase. You're good.
And Connor Hansen have been an incredible run. They have yet to lose a match since. And they are so over with the fans, so beloved now in everything they're doing. I mean, it's obviously, I hope that it's a tough call for you here. Who do you think I gave it to?
Oh man, it is a tough call. It really is. I mean, you got some very fantastic wrestlers here, and this of all the matches is one I can see Highway Robbery actually losing it. Right? I'm so tempted to say it goes to Magic Missiles. I would really like to see them get a win, just because you've got these kind of triple threats getting built up, and they're the lowest with a lot of upside. That being said, maybe you're doing that later, so it goes to Highway Robbery again?
I am building up a little bit. You can't start the injury revenge feud by them immediately getting revenge. That would be silly.
That's fair.
They have to earn it. They have to take that hype. And we're going to get an overmatch. It's a 4 1/4 star. God, I wish I'd switched the order here. But it is a hot match. It does get the feud going. It does get me a holy shit moment.
You pay for the ladder match at least.
Finally I get something at least for this one. Now the question is, that's a
third place card tonight. Yeah, that right there is the whole reason too. Because you ended up with 2 4 1/4 stars instead of 2 5 1/4 stars.
I just wanted to give the Defenders of the Realm, with Magic Missiles returning and the new faction, I just thought to myself, that's the thing that's the highlight of the show, and I was wrong. And that's the lesson for those of you who are watching at home. That's only going to be 4.25, which means I am keeping pace at 8.5. It is now a 3-way tie overall, but it is putting me in last for the night, despite what I felt pretty good about.
Honestly, it's a good card, but that's the thing, right? We're all getting a lot better at this.
Yeah.
And now the margins have been super slim.
Yeah.
We had like full point, even 1.5 margins when we started off. Now every match is coming down to like half a point between first and last, and a lot of the times there's more, one or more ties within 0.25 of each other. So, that's the nature of the beast. One match not in the right position, and you instantly go from having a card that could be vying for first to now you're guaranteed no higher than third.
Yeah, you hate to see it unless you are any of my competitors.
I was just about to say, unless you're one of the other 3 people in this competition, then you love to see it.
Especially Eduardo, I would say, who has been nothing but a kind and understanding individual. This is not in the order that I have listed on my thing. Let me reorder this based on my notes, because he left me notes on this, and I think the game might have bugged out.
We've been seeing some of that, right? Like even my main event package got moved below the match. It didn't matter, obviously, for tonight, but my main event package got moved below. So I definitely think when we're doing this, we should probably double check the order, because especially now it has so much of an impact as we see, right? Like,
yes.
Like, again, obviously yours was intentional tonight. my swap was intentional tonight. But nonetheless, if you have a bug and your one title gets moved for the other, you can run into some problems.
Yeah,
So
this
good
this
on
is
you to be a good DM and double check.
I'm trying. I want this to be proof that I'm not trying to screw Eduardo over on purpose. This is really I am doing my best.
To be
Um,
fair, the game is also helping with that, so it's
yeah.
not just you. Eduardo is just he, the game doesn't like him as much as me,
Yeah,
and that's fine.
but they do like the Campeonato de Luchasaur, who got first
They
place
do, they
last
do
week,
indeed.
and is really hoping to recreate that again, starting with quite the hype match: Jordan Amir versus Daiwik Demerla. I mean, Jordan Amir, the Phantom Executionist, he may only be 0-5 right now, but he is beloved by the fans. A 4-4, 25-year-old heel, very much cemented himself as a main eventer. Meanwhile, Daiwik Demerla has gotten the only win we've seen in this push so far, but also a 4-4 in his own right, right there on the cusp of that main eventer. He just snuck in recently. Would love to cement his place there, especially with El Tigre de Neon watching over him in this spot. I mean, with two incredible wrestlers like this, it's hard to pick, but who do you think is going to win this one?
I think it goes to Daiwik just because he's so close to falling below. I wouldn't want to risk it just to give Jordan Amir a win. And I think Jordan Amir being the heel can take that extra loss. I know he goes to, 0-6, but let's be real. That's not uncommon in my promotion. I don't see why it's a problem here, especially when you have a lot more upside pushing Daiwik with El Tigre de Neon, as his manager.
See, here's the thing, though. You might not see that's a problem, but the rest of us don't have a lot of 0-6 people in our cards. And in this case, Eduardo, here we go. I will say I brought that up to him, and his response was, "Don't worry, it's not going to happen." And he's correct. He does.
800 on the dot. Yeah,
didn't fall. He's correct. But unfortunately, the street fight effect decreased for this one, despite a holy shit moment with the lariat that knocked his head off. Fans going crazy. This has been a hot feud. It remains a hot feud. The odds of that, you don't typically see decreases for
with holy shit moments
like this, with holy shit moments, with a hot feud. But here we are.
It's still close to 4-star. As long as everything else goes well, that's not not the worst thing. It's and he progressed his goal, so all in all, probably fine.
He did indeed. And we get a feud package now on the Rising Sun versus La Sagrada Familia feud. This has been a faction feud that has been going on in the background for a while now. Gets the exact same score we saw from the last match. So, solid effort by Vince Bailey, at least not lowering the average here. Which we'll take.
Well, one of them get dropped, and if that's the lowest thing that then you're fine. I mean, we all of us but Walter tonight had at least one 3.5-star match that did get counted. So,
I do believe that feud will be blown off later in this card.
Okay.
I'll have to check that later. Let's keep a pin in that for now. But that is certainly one. If it's not being paid off now, it will be paid off at the pay-per-view. Because that one's been going back and forth for a bit. But speaking of going back and forth, we got Pink Arrow versus Juno Ripshaw. Juno Ripshaw misses XPW, a promotion that definitely didn't exist before we overrode it with our custom league.
For sure.
807 popularity, 4-4, 25-year-old heel, beloved by the fans. I mean, it's hard not to love a big match specialist and a gifted acrobat who does well in the ring consistently. And meanwhile, you've got Pink Arrow, who's building herself up to that, right? 29-year-old face, a 3-3 right now at 70 overness, working her way up to being a main eventer. She's about 50 points off, but that's doable with a couple big wins. A risk taker and gifted acrobat of her own. And a workhorse, which increases the odds of a hot match, which is always nice to see. Who do you think's taking the W here?
Ooh, I think you give it to Juno. I mean, I think Juno's right on that cusp. Again, I know that you want to push the overness for Pink Arrow, and I do think that that's, a journey that Eduardo likely will embark on. I just don't know that, it being at the expense of Juno here potentially is worth it. Then again, Eduardo earlier said, hey, it's not going to happen, and it didn't happen. So I can also see him saying, hey, it's not going to happen, and giving it to Pink Arrow, and she drops to right to 800. So
Hey, you want to guess what Eduardo said to me when picking the winner for this card?
No way, it's not going to happen.
It's not gonna happen because it's gonna be a hot
let's find out.
match. Let's see. Yeah, right.
And it is.
Nailed it.
Yep.
Hot match between these two. They don't know how to do anything but make hot matches, my friend. That's an overness and popularity boost for both. And that 5.5% overness for Pink Arrow is huge when combined with the hot match. She is now just 1.5% away from being a 4-4 in her own right, which is why you give her the win here. Oh, by the way, a second holy shit moment, kicking out of the finisher. That's a great hype moment here. And submission
matches,
doesn't quite level up, but it's damn close.
Yeah, I mean, the next one you run, you only need 2 XP. You could have the worst submission match of all time, and it's still going to level up.
Absolutely. But yeah, big match there. Only 4.25 star. You got a little bit for blood. But I think that overall you furthered a lot of things that needed to be furthered, and I think you feel pretty good about it.
100%.
But now we go to a tables match between Dominion and Lethal Tempo. Lethal Tempo, Skull Dredson, and Gina Akatani, people who have done well both in singles and as a tag. They've won their only women's tag match together. Dominion, of course, Ivy Chavez and CC Cruz, two people that are on the up and up. We've seen, I think Ivy in particular has started making
Ivy.
towards
I was just about to say, I do know that Ivy's been making some moves. So,
but is that enough?
Where's it going?
Lethal Tempo?
I think so. I actually think this is a good time to give Dominion a win here. Again, I don't think there's a lot of downside for Lethal Tempo losing, but the upside, especially if you are pushing Ivy Chavez, I think there's a lot of value to that.
It's interesting that you said that before that you're not always good at reading Walter's matches because you haven't got a single Eduardo one right.
And it's funny, and I got most of Walter's right tonight, so I don't know what's going on. It's Bizarro World happening here.
Yes. I do believe this was a blow-off, which is why it was originally going to go to Dominion, and then the blow-off
That's
happened.
fair.
By the way, third holy shit moment in three matches.
Eduardo's getting paid tonight. Listen, I don't know that he's going to be able to beat me and Walter on the card here just because of, some of these matches being a little bit lower end. But he is getting paid, and that's notable.
he's getting paid. He's increasing the tables hype here, very close to leveling that up. Leveling up his better wrestler feud for the future. So that's a nice baseline. If you ever can't find something, better wrestler, good for some of your tag feuds, good for throwaway feuds, just to have a feud on there. He is now promoting the big pay-per-view coming up. Vince Bailey, check your PayPal.
Yep.
But here you go.
Got the skill increase. Yep. So again, listen, what I did last week to make some pushes in the card, that's Eduardo this week. I don't think he's going to be disappointed, even though he's definitely going to be down there with you somewhere at this juncture, because if that's the one getting pulled off, he's got 2, 3, and 3/4, unless this is like some 6-star match here. And even then it's rough, but again, he's pushed a lot of narrative here. He's gotten a lot of stuff he wanted to get done. This is still looking good for him in terms of what his goals were, I'm sure, on this card.
Yeah, well, and he's still got 2 great matches coming up. So the score is not locked in yet by any means. We'll see if these last 2 can pull it off. And I'll have to message you, Eduardo, later when you're watching this on what your level 2 producer can do. But right now, it's Nightmare Blue versus Ty Flaw. This has been one of those back and forth feuds for a while now. Nightmare Blue, of course, the ruler of the Sapphire Kingdom. The hard worker, 27-year-old heel, resilient, a workhorse, knows how to handle the ring. And then there's Ty Flaw, absolutely flawless. A 4-4, beloved by the fans as a 26-year-old face. Got his first win very recently and is just 1 point away from being a main eventer. Would obviously love to get that push. Xander, who do you think takes this ambulance match?
Man, I genuinely, it's got to go to Ty, right? Like, it has to. It has to go to Ty here. Because Eduardo's logic all night has been, hey, the person that's on the cusp, let's push them up. And even if the other person's close to going under, no, they won't. And Nightmare Blue's got more leeway than anyone else had. So I can't imagine this doesn't go to Ty Flaw. It's really hard for me to imagine it goes to Nightmare. I think it's got to go to Ty Flaw.
So you want to hear something really funny?
Oh my God, what?
No, you're right. It's Typhla.
Okay,
I just was baiting you there. No, that would have been a little out of left field.
Yeah.
Typhla, obviously.
But
a
hey, it's a
huge
great match.
performer.
5 1/4. That is good. He needed that. Maybe ties it up with you.
And popularity boost for ambulance matches in the future.
Yep.
Gotta feel good about that. But yeah, Typhla.
Did he get a holy shit moment there?
No, okay. He did not. This is the first one he did not get a holy shit moment for. But did get Typhla into a main eventer, and I think that's going to pay dividends. Some smooth performances here. Now, this is the one that's going to make or break it here.
This is the last match. Sorry, I miscounted. There's one more match on
We've got the women's championship here, and he has saved his top championship for last, which, as we've seen, good move. But this is Haley versus Kelly Torres. Haley, the lunatic, recently took the title at the last pay-per-view. Someone who is a 4-4, beloved by the fans, 19-year-old heel, and is going to be a feature of this company for a long time, facing Kelly Torres, the Tower, who the original title holder, who would love to win it right back.
I don't think she's getting it right back. I think Haley's taking it, but I will say that if this match is good enough, because it's the main event, I counted Eduardo out too early because I thought there was only one match left. He could still tie it up with me and Walter, if not even maybe getting if this is high enough.
We'll see. This is why I said don't count them.
I didn't count him out. I just miscounted the number of matches. That is.
Look,
it wasn't a count out. It was I got to 7 a little too quickly. Turns out there's the number 6 is there before the 5, after the 5. I forgot about that one.
You ran the numbers. Turns out you're bad at math. But let's see if Haley has what it takes. There it is.
Oh my gosh, and it's in a big match.
5 1/4 stars. This is, talk about ending on a high note. Obviously, Kelly can be a little bit. Actually, Kelly's not even bummed about losing. She'll take a minor overdose hit, but who cares? She's at.
She's at 100%. Yeah.
The morale was the big thing. She wanted a big match to prove that she can still succeed.
And a holy shit moment, right? Oh no, I can't. Once again, I scrolled down too far.
It's okay, but nice good match to keep putting the women's championship up. But man, that's what you want to end on. And that is going to get him to 4 1/4.
So he tied with you?
No, not. He tied me for this week.
That's what I meant for this week. I'm just talking this week.
In the overall, that is a very important quarter point because that quarter point puts him a quarter point above all 3 of the rest of us heading into the last weekly. So
wait, just for clarity, we are first to last quarter point difference, and it's Eduardo a quarter point above the rest of the 3 of us after tonight.
That's correct. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah,
it could not be closer heading into the final pay-per-view, final weekly, I should say, into the pay-per-view. And if you look at the results here, I lose fans. Walter gains fans. People, let it be known, Walter has gained fans. Eduardo loses slightly more fans than I do from a pure hype standpoint. But you obviously gained the most fans. There you go. Congratulations to Walter, obviously. I think a very strong showing from him. Congratulations to you for winning the night.
Woo!
I know
I won a weekly.
It was a bounce back that mattered a lot to you.
That is the first ever individual weekly I've ever won. So,
well done.
I have not won a weekly yet.
I feel a little silly. I feel like I threw it a little bit. I threw it.
Maybe done throwed a tiny bit.
I done throwed the thing. I got a little too cutesy with my whole tag theme. Lesson learned, game. I'm sorry. I'll do better next time. And Eduardo, look, yes, it's a slightly fan hit here, but you did get the fans from last time that we were afraid you wouldn't get. And you love to see that is... We look at the score here, and it is 8.75 points for Eduardo over 2 weekly shows, and everyone else at 8.5. I will have to go back and look at the fan change to see order of operations for the next stream. But hopefully, all of you at home enjoyed what was a great set of games. We are, as you said, people are figuring this game out. People are putting in the work, and these cards are getting sharper and sharper. and it's going to get harder and harder to squeak out those wins moving forward. Uh, any final thoughts to the folks at home before we head out here?
Listen, I'm really happy that it's a weekly card and Walter and I are on top. This is not something that's happened during the weeklies. Walter, I love seeing his push up. I mean, him taking his time to build his narrative and now, putting those game mechanics in with it. This dude's competing hardcore now. And honestly, I like this week I was worried about. I saw his card. I was like, oh damn, I put up a good card, but like, damn, the consistency of his card was nuts. Not to knock you and Eduardo, who both also had good cards. Again, everyone tonight we're at 0.25 off from first to last, and not just in the overall weekly, but also in this individual one. Again, everybody's getting a lot better at this. We're all learning the game mechanics. It's starting to pay off. It's starting to show. I think there's still learning curve to go. I think there's still stuff to pick up, but that disparity is not going to be so wide going forward. And I think we're looking at, for lack of a better reference, we're looking at chugging the ball across the first down marker every 3 yard, getting those 3 yard pushes, each of us. So just enough to make it happen. I'm excited. I'm excited for what's to come. I'm excited for the next weekly, and I'm super excited to see how we all put it together for this, I believe, silver pay-per-view coming up, right?
Yes, we have a silver pay-per-view coming up. Should be very exciting time. So definitely stay tuned to this channel. Be sure to come on Thursday at twitch.tv/redshirtking is when we will be doing our next stream for this pay-per-view. We always do those live on Twitch. It's always a fun time. We'd love to see you there. So until then, goodbye, Internet.